In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors, from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socio-economic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors, from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socio-economic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors, from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socio-economic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to another episode of Diversion Diaries here with ChildLinK. This afternoon, our topic will be on positive parenting and juvenile delinquency, and we'll talk about how positive parenting can assist in preventing juvenile delinquency. Before we get into our program, I would like to remind you about what the acronym DRIVE stands for. And DRIVE stands for Diversion, Reintegration, Interventions Vital for Empowerment. And at ChildLinK, we are currently running the DRIVE project. So this program is under the DRIVE project, Juvenile Delinquency. And I would like to remind you that the DRIVE project is funded by the European Union delegation in Guyana. And the overall objective of DRIVE is to strengthen policy, practices, and procedures to improve services for 3,000 children who are at risk and who are either currently in conflict with the law or they're at risk of being in conflict with the law, hence getting into juvenile delinquency. So DRIVE aims to prevent them from getting into delinquent behaviors. And in offsetting prevention, in preventing juvenile delinquency, at ChildLinK, we will have this done through collaboration with key stakeholders such as the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Juvenile Justice Department at the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Guyana Police Force, and the Child Protection Agency, which falls under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Protection, and this will also be done in collaboration with the Children's Court. With that being said, I want to once again welcome you to another episode of Diversion Diaries. This is our 4th episode here on NCN. Unfortunately, today I am alone. I don't have a guest with me today, but we will still have the program. And like I mentioned, our topic will be on positive parenting, a key factor for preventing juvenile delinquency. So before we get into the discussion, I have outlined a few terms that I want to share with you. And we will start with what is positive parenting and what are some characteristics of positive parenting. So in preparing for the program, I noted that positive parenting involves nurturing, supporting, and guiding children in a loving and respectful manner. It emphasizes clear communication, so this means having conversations with your children, making spaces open, having them feel free to come and talk to you if anything is bothering them, and setting appropriate boundaries. And it also includes fostering a positive relationship between parents and children. So positive relationships includes things like having a daily conversation with your children. This can be asking them about their day at school, asking them what issues they might have had at school, what they liked about school today, and about homework, just building relationships and chatting with your children. And then we want to look at who is a juvenile and what is juvenile behavior. So when we talk about juvenile behavior and juvenile delinquency, we are speaking about children who are in conflict with the law, meaning they either commit small petty crimes like theft, and like the ad said, theft, vandalism, or other small petty crimes. And these children are not likely to be charged for these behaviors, but if these behaviors are not addressed, they can continue along that path and they can lead to bigger crimes. So what we want to do is, like we would usually say here in Guyana, we want to nip it in the bud. We want to prevent it and not have it prolong or not have it, let's say for instance, if your child they might be, let's say, picking up pencils at school, you would want to ask them where they got the pencil from. And of course, if it's a pencil you don't recognize, you'd want to let them take it back to school because they might have took it from somebody or they might have found it. But worst case scenario, they might have took it from somebody or stole it from somebody. You'd want them to take it back, and this would be teaching them a lesson that they should not pick up things that are not theirs. And this way you're nipping it in the bud, so they might not develop that attitude of picking up things that are not theirs. So in future you can diminish the behavior of them picking up other people's things. And then we want to talk about how you the parents can play a role in preventing juvenile behavior with your children. So parents are definitely key stakeholders and key influencers in preventing juvenile delinquency amongst their children. So we want to let you know that it's important for parents to know that issues that their children might be having that can lead to juvenile behavior should be addressed early, and it should not be addressed only when you see signs of juvenile behavior. So what you'd want to do is inform your children early about what are some juvenile behaviors, even though they might not be doing things that might seem like juvenile behaviors, you'd want to let them know, just educate them on what it is so that they don't go down the path. And then I want to let you know that we want to now look at the impact of positive parenting on juvenile delinquency. So we want to talk about how parents play a role in helping their children to divert from juvenile delinquency. So one of the things that I noted was emotional development, and emotional development include things like emotional support for your children. So if they had an issue at school, let's say they got bullied or somebody's picking on them, you would want to provide support. You'd want to check in with the school, find out what's happening, not just push it aside and let it go just like that. So you'd want to play a key role in your child's life and have that open communication so that they would want to talk to you. So emotional support or emotional development, like I mentioned before, also reduces the likelihood of children engaging in juvenile behavior. So if you have that open communication and you provide that emotional development and emotional support for your child, then they would feel comfortable to come and talk to you and say, hey, mommy or daddy, this is happening. This person at school bullied me, or this person at school said something I didn't like. And you could now find out what happened at school. You could go to the school, you could call the teacher and just find out what happened. Just be there for your children. And then we want to talk about behavioral guidance. So setting consistent and fair rules and using nonviolent discipline strategies. So this is an important factor because I know here in Guyana we say spare the rod and spoil the child, and we take it literal, as in we would want to beat children, or parents would want to beat children. So we want to step aside from that and provide other interventions or intervene in different ways other than using violent discipline strategies for your children. I remember on the last program I had here with Joshua, he spoke about using other methods to discipline the children, like talking to them. That's a good way to prevent your child from partaking in juvenile behaviors. So talking to them about what they did, showing them where they went wrong, is a good way. That's a start. And then you can do things like, maybe let's say if they like using a phone or something, you take the phone for a few so that they can see that what they did was wrong. But you'd want to let them know what they did was wrong before you go ahead and take away their stuff and all that, and then they react in different ways that might not be good. So in setting consistent and fair rules, you want to also teach your children problem solving skills and help children develop self-control and responsive behaviors. So in teaching problem solving skills, you'd want to tell your children things like using violent strategies, reacting in a way by hitting somebody at school that might have hurt them is not a way to deal with a matter. Fighting is not a way to deal with a matter. So you'd want to teach them the same way that you would want to talk to them rather than to beat them. You'd want to teach them that talking to somebody at school that might have done something to them, or somebody that might have hurt them at school, or even in their community, let's say a cousin, a friend, a neighbor, somebody that might have done something to them, talking to that person and letting that person know that what you did was wrong or what you did offended me is a way to have your children, to teach your children problem solving skills rather. And then we want to talk about communication. So just like how you communicating with your children is important, like we mentioned just now, them communicating with people who might have hurt them is another key factor in preventing juvenile delinquency. And we want to also touch on role modeling. So with role modeling, you, the parents, can act in ways that you would want your child to act. You don't want to act in a way that you don't want your child acting, and then if the child acting that way, you get upset, because you want to be a positive role model to your children. So in being a positive role model, this will help your children to emulate and shape their moral development and their own decision-making abilities. So touching on the school incident again, you wouldn't be at school with them, but if you teach them that not hitting somebody if they have offended them, or not hitting somebody if they have wronged them, is not a way to deal with a matter. Rather, they can communicate with that person and perhaps find a different way to deal with the issue. Take it to a teacher, take it to the headmaster, take it to somebody in authority, rather than to lash out. So you'd want to teach your children that, and in doing that, you're now becoming a positive role model for your children, so they can now adapt that same behavior rather than to lash out like you might do at home. So you don't want to lash out and then they develop the lashing out. And then if they do that at school, that can be detrimental because they might lash out in a way that you wouldn't want, and they might even hurt another child in a way that that child can't recover. So you'd want to be a positive role model and have your children follow and develop those same behaviors. Then, but before we go on to key practices of positive parenting, I want to highlight the points we just touched on. So the impact of positive parenting includes things like emotional development, behavioral guidance, communication, and role modeling. And now we want to talk about the key practices of positive parenting. So with the key practices of positive parenting, these includes things like building a strong relationship with your children. This comes back to communication again. If you don't communicate with your child, then you might have that border or that boundary with your child, and they might not feel safe to tell you things. So you'd want to build relationships with your children. Talk to them. Let them feel free to talk to you. So that's one way in preventing juvenile delinquency when we talk about positive parenting. Another key practice of positive parenting is setting clear expectations. Establishing age-appropriate rules and boundaries that are consistent and understandable for your children. So you'd want to, once again, like I said before, you'd want to speak to your children. Let them know that something they might have done was wrong. Set these expectations. Tell them they shouldn't be doing this. Don't just let them, don't just let them figure it out on their own. Establish communication. Let them know that, let's say for instance, your child had a fight at school. You'd want to tell them that fighting is wrong. You'd want to set that expectation, set that boundary when it comes to hitting other people, because hitting other people is never an option. So you'd want to let them know that hitting other people is not an option. So by telling them that, you're setting this clear boundary so they know that, hey, I shouldn't hit anybody, even at school or at home if they have siblings. They shouldn't be fighting with each other. So in letting them know that hitting each other or hitting another person is not good, then you're setting a clear boundary when it comes to hitting people. And like they said, train up a child in the way they should go. Now that child develop that, they now have it in them, instilled in them, that they shouldn't be hitting people. So they now go with that throughout their lives, and low chances of them hitting people now exist, rather than you not telling them and letting them hit somebody and then you tell them after. So you'd want to set the clear expectation. Let them know that this is not what they should be doing, this is what they should be doing. Another key practice rather for positive parenting is encouraging independence. Allowing your children to make decisions within safe limits, and I repeat, safe limits, and supporting their efforts to solve problems independently. So while you want to set clear expectations and be the parent, you don't want to be a dictator. You want your child to think on their own. You want them to make decisions when they're out, good decisions rather, when they're not around you or when they're in public or just when they're not around you. So in encouraging independence, you now allow your child to make choices within safe limits, and this also supports their efforts to think independently. So you want to let your child think, and in thinking, you can correct them if they are going wrong. You can just be that guide, be the parent, be an active parent rather in your child's life. And then we want to touch on managing emotions. So managing emotions is also a key factor in preventing juvenile delinquency amongst children, because like I said earlier, you don't want your child lashing out in a negative way if somebody might have just simply said, maybe not touch them, not do anything to physically harm them, but just to emotionally affect them. You want to teach them how to manage their emotions, and in doing this, You would now teach your child how to express and manage their emotions constructively. So, with doing this, you would encourage your child to speak out. Somebody hurt them, they speak out. They let the person know that, hey, what you just said offended me. What you just said, I don't feel comfortable. What you just said, I don't like it. And your child would now be encouraged. You want to teach them these things, right? So that they would now be encouraged to let their peers know. And they don't just keep things in. So they would not be encouraged to let their peers know. And the last point I have here is supporting development. So under this, providing opportunities for learning and growth, both academically and socially. So you don't want your child to just be engaged academically. You want them to have a social life. You want them to have friends. But like I mentioned earlier, set boundaries when it comes to friends and everything. So you'd want to also know what your child and their friends might be doing. So you want to now get to know their friends so that you know who they're around and what activities they're engaging in with their friends. So you want to know where they're going with their friends, who their friends are, and just monitor it. And we want to now look at how these preventative measures can prevent juvenile delinquency, or some preventative measures in terms of preventing juvenile delinquency. So one of these includes early interventions. Intervening early, nipping it in the bud, like I said earlier. Letting your child know what they did was wrong. It might be simply picking up a pencil, but you don't know how far along that can go. That picking up of a pencil at the age of, let's say, 10. They might want to pick up other things when they get older. So you want to nip it in the bud and let them know that this is wrong. You want to teach them to not pick up things that are not theirs. And all of this comes under early intervention. And then we have community support. So like it was mentioned on the two other programs that I had here by the guest Joshua, I remember clearly he spoke about community support and how his community intervened and helped to raise him into the person he is today. So community support is a key factor in preventing delinquency also, because you're not always around your child. People in the community might see some of the things they're doing, simply pelting cows, simply pelting animals, or fruits, stealing fruits in the neighborhood. You'd want to have the community looking out for your child also. Under community support, I have here also support groups and community-based programs that promote positive parenting practices, which also provides assistance to families in need. And then we have educational support. So supporting your children's education and their involvement in extracurricular activities can enhance their sense of purpose and belonging, reducing the likelihood of boredom or negative peer influence. So you want them to engage in activities that are positive, activities emulating from their school. Maybe it might be a community or social organization, church or something, but you want them to engage in other activities. I know school is out right now, and most churches and community groups and so are having programs outside of the academics. You want them to be engaged in the academics, but you also want them to engage in other things that would boost their social skills. You don't want them to always be with the books and all that. You want them to boost their social skills also. So you'd want to encourage them to partake in those activities. And like I said earlier, these reduces them being bored. And in them not being bored, they can now partake in positive things rather than them being bored and their minds being idle. So we want to do a call-in segment, and I would want to ask persons to ask questions, or if you don't want to ask questions, you can simply add to what I mentioned earlier. But before we do that, we would like to take a short commercial break. So after this short commercial break, we will be right back with a call-in segment. Delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors, from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socioeconomic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socioeconomic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future: the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socioeconomic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive. Alright, welcome back to Diversion Diaries, and like I mentioned before we went to the ad break, we will now have a call-in segment where you, the viewers, can call in and either add to what I said earlier, and I will just reiterate those points before we get into the call-in segment. But before I do that, I want to remind you that under this episode of Diversion Diaries, ChildLinK is currently running the Drive program, and the Drive program is funded by the European Union delegation in Guyana, and the overall objective of Drive, which is diversion reintegration interventions vital for empowerment. That's what the acronym Drive stands for. The overall objective of Drive is to strengthen policy, practices, and procedures to improve services for 3,000 children. So that's the target. It can be over, but the target is 3,000 children who are at risk or are currently in conflict with the law. And with this, it will be done through collaboration with key stakeholders such as the Ministry of Home Affairs, And under the Ministry of Home Affairs, there's the Juvenile Justice Department, and we have the Guyana Police Force, and there is also the Child Protection Agency, which falls under the Ministry of Human Services and Social Protection, and the Children's Court. And just to outline the points that I mentioned earlier on positive parenting and juvenile delinquency, we had spoken about the impact of positive parenting on juvenile delinquency, and under this, we mentioned that emotional development is one way to prevent juvenile delinquency when it comes to positive parenting. We spoke about behavioral guidance, and with behavioral guidance, we stated that setting consistent and fair rules and using non-violent, and I mention again, non-violent discipline strategies. And we also spoke about clear and open communication between parents and children, which helps to foster good relationships. And we also spoke about the parents being positive role models to their children. Then we spoke about the key practices of positive parenting. Under this, we spoke about building a strong relationship with children. And this includes spending quality time together, listening actively to children's concerns, and showing empathy. Then we spoke about setting clear expectations. Here we spoke about establishing age-appropriate rules and boundaries that are consistent and understandable. And then we went on to speak about encouraging independence, letting your child think independently, letting them express their ideas and not just shunning their ideas and being the dictator parent. You want your child to express their emotions, and in doing this, they can express their ideas also. And then with this, after this, we spoke about managing emotions. And under this, we said teaching your children how to express and manage their emotions. And in expressing their emotions, you want them to do this constructively. And then we spoke about fostering emotional intelligence. And then we went on to speak about supporting development. And we also spoke about preventative measures in terms of preventing juvenile delinquency. And under this, we said that early intervention is one key strategy in preventing delinquency, and we said community support along with educational support. So under educational support, you want to educate your children on what is juvenile delinquency and also have them partake in extracurricular activities that can boost their social skills and to have them partake in other things rather than being idle. So we will now get into the call-in segment. You can either call to add to what I said, or you can ask a question and I can answer that question in questions relating to what I just spoke about, or questions relating to juvenile delinquency generally. And the lines are open, so you can call and ask your questions. While we wait on the callers, I want to let you know that ChildLinK is committed to a Guyanese society where every child has the right to ChildLinK is committed to a Guyanese community where every child grows up in a safe and secure community and family. I don't know what just happened. Yeah, just to repeat that. ChildLinK is committed to a Guyanese society where every child grows up in a safe and secure family and community. And while we wait on calls, also, I want to touch on a few more points in preventing juvenile delinquency. So I have here building strong relationships between parents and children. So under building strong relationships, I have trust and communication. This is a strong bond which fosters open and honest communication between parents and children. Now, we spoke about communication quite a lot, and it's clear that communicating with your children is a key factor in preventing juvenile delinquency, because you want your child to talk to you. You want them to be open. You don't want them to feel scared to talk to you or anything. You want them to come and say, "Mommy, this happened. Daddy, this happened." So you want to build that relationship with them. And then I also have your emotional development, which we spoke about earlier. And I also have your behavioral guidance, which we also spoke about earlier. I also have role modeling, And one thing that I didn't mention that I have here is resilience. So I have here strong relationships with parents contributes to children resilience in the face of challenges. So you don't want your child to back down from challenges, but you also want them to be resilient. You want them to face challenges because life have challenges. But you want to guide them. Seems like we missed that call. You want to guide them along their path and you want to guide them with challenges they might be facing. You don't just want to leave them out there in the wilderness to go through challenges on their own. So you'd want to guide them. And while we also wait on the calls, I want to let you know that positive parenting also plays a critical role in helping children to resist negative peer influence. So we know that not all of the children at their school might be positive influences. They might have some children who might be going down the path of delinquency already. But not that you don't want your children liming or socializing with them, but you want your children to identify the issue that those children might be having and we missed that call also. You'd want your children to, like I was saying, you'd want your children to identify what that child might be going through, and you would want them to not go down the same path. So you'd want them to know what is juvenile delinquency. And with this can only be fostered through open communication with your children. I also want to let you know that positive parenting also plays a critical role in building your child's self-esteem. So letting your child know that they're worth it, they're good enough. And this can be established through praising your children. They might have done good at school, they might have done a task that you've given them, they might have done it to the best of their ability, and you'd want to let them know that you're thankful for that and what they've done is good. Not sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. If you want to get help for your children, where you have to go to?
Hi. So if you want help for your children, we have a number you can call. You can call ChildLinK. You want to take
Can
that
you give
number?
me the number?
Yeah. You want to take that number? It's 233.
233.
1 minute. 1 minute. I knew it out my head, but I can't recall it.
Well, you can please call me back. We can make register down.
Okay, you can call me back in a minute. You want to give me your number, rather? And I can call you?
662.
Program.
All right, thanks.
No problem. Yeah, so like I was saying, building your child's self-esteem. So, like I was saying, praising them for things they have done good. You don't just want to let them do something to the best of their ability or do something that might have been really good and you just let it off just like that. You want to let them know that, hey, what you did was really good and I appreciate it. And in praising them, it helps to build your self-esteem, and you can also show them unconditional love, which also boosts their self-esteem and their confidence. We spoke about open communication already, and we spoke about setting expectations. We're almost at program time already, and we haven't had any other callers. You can call in and let me know your thoughts. You can add to what I said, or you can ask a question. We have a caller. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hi, good afternoon. So, I just want to say first that, ChildLinK is doing a really great work when it comes to diversion. I've heard about, parents beating children and, maybe burning their fingers. How is it that you think that we can get them to stop, or stop taking things without permission. Do you think that sort of action from parents work?
So thank you for calling firstly. And from the offset, I want to say, like I mentioned before, this is not violent strategies in helping your children combat stealing is not effective because your children can now become rebellious against you
Mm-hmm.
beating them and so on or burning their fingers. So you'd want to let them know, like I mentioned earlier, you'd want to tell them that what you did was wrong. So you first want to talk to them and let them know that what they did was wrong. So just to let you know and to clear the air that violent strategies does not help with combating delinquent behaviors. So speaking to your children is one key step in helping them to combat simple stealing, you know?
Yeah, I totally understand because I remember back in my days, I think these were actions that were brought down from like, our generations and even our parents,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more of like a culture issue. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that you guys, sort of clear that up, and people out there could actually see the change in behaviors in children.
Uh-huh.
We know that children nowadays are a bit, harder to deal with, yes,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
way that our parents actually brought us up and to me, the disciplinary actions actually affected us more in our older ages. And I think that if they core from that, these children or us as big people now, that we'll be
Mm-hmm.
better even when it comes to our mental health and
Correct, correct.
trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Milton. Thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you for
All
calling.
right,
Have a
great.
great rest of the day. Just to add to what I was telling the caller, I had it down here. So, violence breeds fear, not understanding. We have a caller. Good afternoon, you're live. Good afternoon. Hello? Hello? Alright, seems like we missed that caller. Yeah, so violence breeds fear, not understanding. You don't want to be beating your children for things that they might do. You want to speak to them. You want to use other methods. Unlike I mentioned before, Joshua had mentioned, speak to them, you know, just if they might like using a tablet, they might like going out and play. You'd want to limit that. Not just completely stop it, but you want to limit it so that they know what they did was wrong. And I have here physical punishment instills fear in children rather than helping them understand the consequences of their actions. It does not teach them why their behavior is wrong or how to make better choices in the future. So, violent strategies is not an option. So, you don't want to be beating your children for things they might have done wrong. Okay, I thought we had a caller there. So, as we're coming down to program time, I want to leave with you some other points in that you the parents can take to prevent delinquency because you be with your children as much as they have school and so school is out right now. So using some of these strategies, communicating with them and so on, you know, now as school is out, you'd want to build relationships, communicate with them, probably take them out, take them to the seawall, have a chat with them, ask them how was the last semester, or as we call it, the term. I'm at university, so I say semester. But ask them how was the last term? How was school last year? Do you want to go back to school? You know, talk with them, find out the issues they might be having at school or the things they like about school. Do something they like. Do something you like. Build a relationship with them during this school break. So I have here things that parents should know about why their children are becoming delinquent. So some of these things can include the family dynamics. And under this, I have family dysfunction, including conflict between parents, inconsistent discipline. And when we speak about discipline, we're not speaking about violent discipline, neglect, or abuse. All these can contribute to delinquent behaviors. Also, a lack of parental supervision or involvement can also increase the likelihood of children engaging in risky behaviors. And then I also have individual factors, psychological and emotional factors such as low self esteem. So we spoke about helping them, praising them, letting them know something they might have done was really good, can help them build their self esteem. Aggression or mental health issues also contributes to individual factors when it comes to juvenile delinquency. We also have their school environment, somewhere that they be most of the day for a huge time in the day. So their school environment can also contribute to juvenile delinquency, problems at school, academic failure, bullying, or negative peer interaction. So like I mentioned earlier, you want to know who are your child's friends. You want to know who they socialize with on a daily basis. Simply ask them, who is your friend? Or some children might just come and say, once you have the relationship with them, mommy or daddy, I have this friend at school. Find out about that friend. Probably take them and that friend out. See how they interact with that friend. See how that friend is influencing them. Or if they're influencing that friend. So, just to mention again, academic failure, bullying, or negative peer interactions can contribute to delinquency. Also, children who feel disconnected or unsupported in the school environment may be more vulnerable to engaging in risky behaviors. So, just to reiterate the points that I mentioned just now, things that parents should know about why their children are becoming delinquent. So, we have family dynamics, individual factors, and their school environment. And there are other factors that contribute also, but these are just some of the ones that are prevalent or some of the ones that are well known. So as we're at program time, I want to remind you that ChildLinK is committed to a Guyanese society where every child grows up in a safe and secure family and community. And in concluding, I want to thank the European Union delegation in Guyana for funding this project, the DRIVE project. And like I mentioned earlier, the acronym DRIVE stands for Diversion, Reintegration, Interventions Vital for Empowerment. And before I go, just to wrap up our discussion on positive parenting and juvenile delinquency, I'd like to let you know that positive parenting plays a crucial role in preventing juvenile delinquency. And in doing this, you can foster or build a supportive and nurturing environment where your child or children can thrive emotionally, socially, and academically. And by emphasizing positive relationships, effective communication, and proactive guidance, you, the parents, can significantly impact your children's development and future behavior. And with that being said, I want to once again remind you that this DRIVE project, Diversion, Reintegration, Interventions Vital for Empowerment, is funded by the European Union delegation in Guyana. And once again, I'd like to remind you that ChildLinK is committed to a Guyanese society where every child grows up in a safe and secure family and community. And with that being said, my name is Milton Granham. I am the Advocacy and Communications Officer at ChildLinK. And this has brought us to the end of this episode of Diversion Diaries here on NCN Channel 11. Join us in future. It will be soon. We will be having another program talking about the same juvenile delinquency, but we will look at it from another aspect. With that being said, I want to thank you for joining us today. See you next time.
In every community, there are young lives at crossroads facing a choice that could shape their future, the path of delinquency or the path of justice. But what exactly is juvenile delinquency? Juvenile delinquency refers to the behavior of minors that is unlawful or antisocial. It can include a range of behaviors, from minor offenses like vandalism to more serious crimes like theft or assault. Juvenile delinquency is more influenced by a variety of factors such as socio-economic background, family dynamics, and peer influences. But amid the challenges, there is hope. That is where juvenile justice comes in. Juvenile justice is the system of laws, policies, and practices designed to address juvenile delinquency. It encompasses everything from law enforcement and arrests to court proceedings and rehabilitation programs. Juvenile justice is about more than just punishment. It's about giving young people a second chance, providing them with the support and resources they need to turn their lives around. Together, let's stand against juvenile delinquency and embrace the principles of juvenile justice, because every young life deserves a chance to thrive.